let's get started tonight. So, hello and welcome to Speak Online. I'm Charles Randolph and this is Zach Painter, still without a brush. And tonight we are going to be talking and taking a look at the recent events regarding President Trump and his remarks on those with disabilities and also diversity. For example, Black History Month. So this is important because according to the CDC, they estimate that there are 70 million people, or 1 in 4 adults, that have reported to have a disability. So that's your family members, my friends, your friends, and specifically me. I fall into a group specifically mentioned in this address, that is epileptics. So also, Black History Month, there are 48.3 million people who identify as Black. If you don't believe a message matters, this matters to roughly 118.3 million people. That's roughly 1/3 of the US population. So this matters. We are going to take a look at good sources of information, starting with the horse's mouth, react, then move on to a more detailed description and sources of information regarding the ADA and Black History Month. So let's get going. All right. Look at this, Zach. Now I'll remember to switch it over.
Oh, beautiful.
Making progress.
I'm also on full disability.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I even receive SSDI.
Oh, you're trying to work.
I am trying to work. I'm trying to work.
Yeah. Okay. So, this is where it primarily all began. I'm sure everybody heard about the mid-air collision of the passenger jet and the military helicopter that occurred in Washington, D.C. So we're starting there, and then we're going to make it all the way to a discussion of diversity and the ADA. It's a bit of a reach, but he's going for it.
Of Transportation, Sean Duffy, his second day on the job. When that happened, it's a rough one. We'll be working tirelessly. He's a great gentleman. The whole group these are great people, and they are working tirelessly to figure out exactly what happened. We will state certain opinions, however. I'm also immediately appointing an acting commissioner to the FAA, Christopher Rocheleau, a 22-year veteran of the agency, highly respected. Christopher, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We must have only the highest standards for those who work in our aviation system. I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. Only the highest aptitude, they have to be the highest intellect and psychologically superior people were allowed to qualify for air traffic controllers. That was not so prior to getting there. When I arrived in 2016, I made that change very early on because I always felt this was a job that, and other jobs too, but this was a job that had to be superior intelligence. And we didn't really have that, and we had it. And then when I left office and Biden took over, he changed them back to lower than ever before. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. And they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen. Because
So here's the claim, right? That it is not a merit-based system. They enacted policy to give others who may not have opportunity to work a place of employment. So that's the connection that he's making. Basically, there was an accident and policy is at fault because people who were working were inept or unable. That's the reach.
Yes. And if the policies were so bad before that, why weren't there just planes blowing up all the time when they were like, there wasn't any big dip in planes crashing into each other that I've ever heard of.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he's trying to blame this crash on a policy made by the previous party.
Right. Well, this is an opportunity to push an agenda, right? This is what that's about. It's an opportunity to push an agenda. It is a really bad event to use to push the agenda, but it's an opportunity nonetheless.
Was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse. So as you know, last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers and other.
Very powerful, not a weak one, Zach.
You got to understand how powerful it is. It's just, I feel it. I feel the waves of power.
The pen, it was very bold. It wasn't signed in italics or anything, just bold lettering. He wanted to make a point.
It wasn't italics?
No.
He didn't need it?
No, not at all. He wanted the power. Power the bold.
So basically his agenda is getting like the list of people, he says, out of the air traffic control, even if they can do the job, even if they pass all those requirements and show that they are capable of doing that job, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Pretty much what's going on is he's saying that the FAA and other institutions, employers, are being forced to hire people that do not meet the usual standards of employment.
The usual standards of employment.
Right. So what he's going to criticize is the ADA.
Yeah.
So the ADA says you need to have equal opportunity for a specific group of people, those with disabilities, diversity, physical impairments, mental impairments, etc.
Yeah, and it even says, like, people without vision, people without hearing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the FAA is doing that. Are they hiring them to be pilots? No. Like, they're hiring people with no vision to be pilots.
Right.
Obviously not. There's
Right.
a place where they can work. That shows right there that he's like, people with visual impairments work for the FAA. Okay, they're not being pilots. They're
Right.
being placed where they can work.
Right. As someone who has worked in management, it would be irresponsible for me to place someone who may harm themselves or others. And I'm pretty sure that those in management positions at the FAA follow a similar ethic. And that is not saying that I would not provide an opportunity. I fall into a category that he will strictly state, epileptic. Okay? So I am very much obviously biased and pro this and my position. There is reasonable accommodations that can be made. But my primary argument is that this is about opportunity, not about appeasing.
By the way, then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. They have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses.
God.
You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. But we'll restore faith in American air travel. I'll have more to say about that. I do want to.
I got to say, once they enacted that ADA, I was like, screw it. I am never getting on another flight ever again.
That's it?
Oh, yeah, I was done. I was absolutely done. I lost all faith in the FAA. From that point, it just went downhill.
Right?
That's a joke. I hope people catch that.
I hope so.
Point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they want them, they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. This was in January.
I know we're laughing right now and reacting in somewhat of a humorous manner, but that's just how we initially react. I actually take this a bit personally, and it's a serious issue. I just want that to be known.
It's just so ridiculous. You can't help but be like, because what he's saying is so ridiculous. No, they can't.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, we'll hire them to be pilot. That's where I keep going back to. Like, you're going to hire them to be pilots or two or what?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you make the proper accommodations for where they can work.
That's all that they want. That's all that they
There's
want.
more than just air traffic controllers in the FAA.
Absolutely. And, you know, a point on that, as a person with a disability, one of the worst feelings in the world is feeling like a burden on your family or society. And the opportunity that the ADA presents to people like myself is an opportunity to contribute to society. And that, just on a personal basis, is very good. On a second basis, if you want to talk about it like financially, then we're able to gain and give support to society through taxes and other things like that. So just need to say that.
13th, so that was a week before I entered office. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration, this was before I got to office, recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people that are, I mean, actually, their lives are shortened because of the stress that they have. Brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened.
Really? Your lives are shortened.
Wow. What about what about the pilots? People, well, I was going to say people in the military, but yeah, that could actually happen,
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many jobs that are very stressful that,
And a lot of it just depends on who you are, right?
yeah.
I mean, I like the stress. So I will pick high stress jobs where there's like high risk, high reward. That's just who I am. I like it. I know that I'm going to have a decreased lifespan. Okay. I'm just like statistically set up for that. But I would love to hear some type of citation or stat that would justify that claim.
He never backs up anything he says, and anything that is like medically, it would medically prove that anything different than he says is going to be fake news, even if it came out from the medical journals.
Possibly.
Because of the stress, where you have many, many planes coming into one target, and you need a very special talent and a very special genius to be able to do it. Targeted disabilities
Can't have anyone that wears glasses, tell you that right now.
Not at all.
are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism, all
So that's my personal skin in this game, epilepsy.
qualify for the position of a controller of airplanes pouring into our country, pouring into a little spot, a little dot on the map, a little runway.
Do people actually, there are like the people that vote for him, well, not just that, like, not maybe not all of them, sorry,
Yes,
but like, there's a lot of people that are pro him that would just believe that, exactly what he said, that people with vision impairment would be air traffic controllers.
Right. Well, what blows my mind is, obviously the way that I'm behaving, if you compare this to other live streams, my behavior is different, right? And it says something important about just human nature in general. That when we have skin in the game, we react differently, right? And the truth is, I shouldn't be more invested in this topic because of my condition. I should always be invested in every topic equal, right? Even without my investment. And I think that says a lot to just how we make decisions in general, is that we should keep in mind that our decisions affect more than just ourselves, and keep in mind when we're voting the other people in our lives who will be affected, even if it doesn't affect us, you know?
Yeah.
The initiative is part of the FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan. Think of that. The initiative is part of the FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan, which says diversity is integral to achieving FAA's mission of ensuring safe and efficient travel. I don't think so. I think it's just the opposite. The FAA website shows that the agency's guidance on diversity hiring were last updated on March 23rd of 22. They wanted to make it even more so. And then I came in, and I assume maybe this is the reason. The FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation? He's a disaster.
What a loser. Get him out of there. He's no winner.
Because of a military.
I don't even know.
What? Like,
He's
look at
playing
how.
around. I have no idea who it is.
But him just saying that about this guy has, like, you know how much that's going to affect his life?
Yeah.
From
It's
here on out?
entertaining. I mean, it's horrible, but it's
Yeah.
entertaining.
It is. I think that's why people like him, because Trump's entertaining.
He is.
Disaster as a mayor. He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit. The department.
I wonder if that's the first time in a presidential address a president has ever said bullshit.
Oh,
It might be. It might be a first.
it's gotta be.
Maybe we should make that a holiday. Screw Black History Month. Let's make it Cussing on Air Day.
Transportation is government agency charged with regulating civil aviation. Well, he runs it, 45,000 people, and he's run it right into the ground with his diversity. So I had to say that it's terrible.
Dude, I can't believe there's not like protests in the street about this. I cannot believe it.
Diversity is what this country is about. Like,
I know, but now we got planes crashing
well, and that's because a military helicopter hit the plane.
from a job position that wasn't even filled.
It-
But I'm pretty sure it's those with disability. I'm pretty sure it's their fault.
yeah,
Too much diversity in the workforce, Zach. We got to knock it off.
that's
Seriously.
crazy.
Knock it off. Standards are dropping.
A group within
Solar
the
planes.
FAA, another story, determined that the workforce was too white, that they had concerted efforts to get the administration to change that and to change it immediately. This was in the Obama administration just prior to my getting there. And we took care of African Americans, Hispanic Americans. We took care of everybody at levels.
I love this. We took care of Black people. We took care of brown people. Everybody. We're all about inclusion. But we need to get rid of this. We need to get rid of some of this shit. I mean, there is a line. There's a line, okay? And I'm sorry, we just need to maintain a standard of excellence.
Yes, because I mean, it like you can only dilute the white so much.
Right.
Like you can have like a little bit of vanilla, kind of that pale white.
Yeah.
But if it's, if we're getting towards like
coffee with a little bit of creamer.
yeah,
something like that,
yeah, but we don't want to get to like that caramel colored. It's like
No.
we can't get that. That's nuts.
No, too much.
Too much.
Too much. This is obviously joking, everybody, so
I hope.
don't
they-
report the channel.
Nobody's ever seen before. It's one of the reasons I won.
What?
But they actually came out with a directive, too white. And we want the people that are competent. But now we mourn and we pray. And
Which he is
like-
saying.
Listen to that again.
What he's saying is the white people are competent.
Right.
That's what he just said. He said we took care of them, but now we want competent people. And it was too white, but now we need the competent people. So just because it was too white, now we got to go back to the white.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
that,
know.
like-
they failed. We gave them a shot.
They
They fucked it up.
Yes, there's planes crashing. Like, oh God.
This is going to hell.
we want the people that are competent. But now we mourn and we pray, and would like to ask all Americans to join me in a moment of silence as we ask God to watch over those who have lost their lives and bring comfort to the loved ones. And I just want to say, God,
I just want to let them know that diversity was the true mistake.
It always is.
Yeah.
everyone.
Obama needs to write an apology letter to each member of the family who passed away. My bad.
I can't believe I got elected president. I'm sorry, but my diversity,
Yeah.
like it was a one-off. I shouldn't have been allowed them in the FAA because look what happens.
Mm-hmm.
This room. This has been a terrible, very short period of time. We'll get to the bottom of it. So we all saw the same thing. We've seen it many times. I've had the honor of hearing tapes. Tapes are scary, very scary tapes. You had a airliner coming in, American Airlines. He was doing everything right. He was on track. He was the same track as everybody else. They came in. It's probably the same track as they've had for 25 years or more. He's coming in the path. And for some reason, he had a helicopter that was at the same height.
Elevation.
Obviously, when they hit, but pretty much the same height. And going at an angle that was unbelievably bad. When the air traffic controller said, do you see, he was talking about, do you see him? But there was very little time left when that was stated. And then also he said, follow him in. And then almost immediately after that, seconds after that, there was the crash that took place. Well, you follow him in, that means like everything's fine, follow him in. You had a pilot problem from the standpoint of the helicopter. I mean, because it was visual. It was a very clear night. It was cold, but clear, and clear as you could be. The American Airlines plane had lights blazing. They had all of their landing lights on. I could see it from the Kennedy Center tape. We had a tape up on the Kennedy Center. That seems to be the primary. Thus far, I'm sure we'll see other tapes because it's such an area where there are a lot of cameras looking up into the air, into space. So we'll probably see many other shots of it before too much time goes by. But we had a situation where you had a helicopter that had the ability to stop. I have helicopters. You can stop a helicopter very quickly. It had the ability to go up or down. It had the ability to turn.
It could go left or
and
right.
The turn it made was
No
not
way.
the correct turn, obviously. It did somewhat the opposite of what it was told. We don't know that would have been the difference because the timing was so tight. It was so little. There was so little time to think. But what you did have is you had vision.
How did the air traffic control? Now, listen to what he's saying. He's saying there was little time to stop the helicopter on its path, right? He said, but the helicopter pilot had vision. He said, so how, if the helicopter pilot is just flying his helicopter like in a military, unregulated way, how did the air traffic controller have time? He's saying it was very little time.
So what happened is the military are required to fly under a certain elevation. The helicopter was flying at a higher elevation. That is what caused it. They don't know why he was flying at a higher elevation, but that is what occurred.
But it sounds like at that elevation, there was so little time when he was at that elevation, is what he's saying, for the air traffic controller to do anything.
Yeah, but, as a source of information, I honestly don't trust this source of information.
Oh, well, that's true. Okay.
You had vision of the plane because you had vision of it all the way, perfect vision of it all the way from at Kennedy Center where the tape was taken. And for some reason, there weren't adjustments made. Again, you could have slowed down the helicopter substantially. You could have stopped the helicopter. You could have gone up. You could have gone down. You could have gone straight up, straight down. You could have turned. You could have done a million different maneuvers. For some reason, it just kept going and then made a slight turn
Okay.
at the very end, and
Talk about politics here.
it or over it, and nobody realized, or they didn't say that it's at the same height. At the same height, it would still wouldn't have been
Elevation.
great, but you would have missed it by quite a bit. Could have been 1,000 feet higher. It could have been 200 feet lower. Same height as somebody that you could have.
Okay.
And then they changed it.
He's not discussing that anymore. So, I do have a little thing that I would like to say. I got 4 points that I want to make in response to Trump's address regarding the ADA and diversity. So, one, believe it or not, I'm not black. I know, just really, really tan. But if I were black, how would it make you feel if your race, your racial diversity were associated with physical and mental disability? Personally, I'd be a little pissed off. 2, he mentioned those with epilepsy. Well, I am part of that group, so allow me to retort in a oh so eloquent way to this message. Go fuck yourself. 3, I have been told by family, and I quote, "I wonder what you could do if you didn't have epilepsy." The ADA is not about giving unqualified individuals jobs. It is about giving people who are born with a disproportionate amount of opportunity an equal shot. These are people who just want to contribute. 4, by providing those with opportunity, it provides them with a means to contribute to society, socially and financially, for example, via taxes. The last thing anyone with a disability wants to feel is a feeling of being a burden to those around them. So that is my initial reaction to this response. So do you got anything that you want to give in summary to that, Zach?
How you just put that together, that minority races and people with disabilities were lumped together.
Yeah. And mind you, like, I'm in that one group. I'm not in the other group, obviously, but I would find that really offensive. I mean, you're saying people with mental and physical disabilities are associated with being racially diverse.
It's
a horrible thing to connect. Think about the message that sends.
That he's saying that minorities are
equal to or less than. Like, basically that they have a disability inherent within them.
Yes.
That is what I hear, and that is horrible. It would piss me off.
That's crazy.
It is. That's what I'm surprised, and I haven't heard in the media, is what I just said, is that association between race and disability. And so that's my message. One of them.
It was. I also found it weird that how he made a very big public apology to Russia.
Well, you got to throw Russia in there.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah. But who knows? It's all good. It's not all good, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So because diversity came up, obviously, and there are the recent events regarding Black History Month, to address those points, we're going to take a look at first the White House proclamation from President Donald J. Trump on the National Black History Month. I think that is a good source of information. Let me get this up here. And to those who can't see it, I will read it. So, by the President of the United States of America, a proclamation. Today, I am very honored to recognize February 2025 as National Black History Month. Little note, context. There were stirrings that Black History Month was going to be taken away. Now, mind you, the DEI, I believe it's the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, is no longer supporting this, and we'll get into that specifically. But that is the context for the statement. So, every year, National Black History Month is an occasion to celebrate the contributions of so many Black American patriots who have indelibly shaped our nation's history. Throughout our history, Black Americans have been among our country's most consequential leaders, shaping the cultural and political destiny of our nation in profound ways. American heroes such as Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Thomas Sowell, Justice Clarence Thomas, and countless others represent what is best in America and her citizens. Their achievements, which have monumentally advanced the tradition of equality under the law in our great country, continue to serve as an inspiration for all Americans. We will also never forget the achievements of American greats like Tiger Woods, who have pushed the boundaries of excellence in their respective fields, paving the way for others to follow. I love how he throws in Tiger Woods there, but leaves out Martin Luther King.
That's out. Just like, why not Muhammad Ali or something?
Right.
Like, or you know what I mean? If you're
Yeah.
going with sports, obviously don't put Obama in there.
Right.
Like, don't do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or a president of the United States.
Yeah, the first black president of the United States. Don't put him in there because that's not huge at all.
That was part of the whole diversity thing. We got to knock that off. We don't want to. We don't want to support that anymore.
It's just ridiculous.
Right. Back to it.
Hopefully people understand sarcasm.
I hope so too. This National Black History Month, as America prepares to enter historic golden age, I want to extend my tremendous gratitude to Black Americans for all they have done to bring us to this moment, and for the many future contributions they will make as we advance into a future of limitless possibility under my administration, while we take the rug out from beneath you. That wasn't put there, but I added that. Now, therefore, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim February 2025 as National Black History Month. I call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all the people of the United States to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand this 31st day of January in the year of our Lord 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 249th. Now, mind you, this would not have been needed to state, right, if there weren't questions about our government supporting this, right?
So most presidents don't proclaim this every.
Well, they don't need to, because it's just been that way, right? It's been that way. And the reason why it came up is this. We're going to look at this right here. So again, Zach doesn't really consume media, which makes him an excellent candidate to look at media, because you get this fresh type of reaction to it, which I enjoy as like a participant of a study. So this is where a lot of the questions came up. And this was on January 21st, 2025. And this, again, is a good source of information. This is from the whitehouse.gov. And it is titled, Ending Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity, January 21st, 2025. By the authority vested in me as President of the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Section 1. Purpose. Longstanding federal civil rights laws protect individual Americans from discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. These civil rights protections serve as a bedrock supporting equality of opportunity for all Americans. As President, I have solemn duty to ensure that these laws are enforced for the benefit of all Americans. Yet, today, roughly 60 years after the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, critical and influential institutions of American society, including the federal government, major corporations, financial institutions, the medical industry, large commercial airlines, law enforcement agencies, and institutions of higher education, have adopted and actively used dangerous, demeaning, and immoral race and sex-based preferences under the guise of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion, the DEI, or Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility, the DEIA, that can violate the civil rights laws of this nation. Illegal DEI and DEIA policies not only violate the text and spirit of our longstanding federal civil rights laws. Okay, wait, I got to say something about this. This is a common thing that is pulled from people who want change. And I kind of get it. But this statement right here, saying that by providing opportunity, we are therefore taking opportunity away from others. That is the argument, right? That because we are providing opportunity and preference to a specific group, a very small minority group, by the way, and a minority of the population, that somehow other people are going to be excluded. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I understand it to a degree. I understand the logic behind it. And again, I'm kind of biased due to my own position. But it's such a small population. And one of the things that is going to come up with Black History Month in any type of discussion with this is the idea of systemic racism. And I get it. I understand the arguments against it. But again, an example from the ADA and my personal experience, the people who are using these are getting an opportunity that they did not have. Individuals who come from lower socioeconomic classes, first generation college students, places that don't have the certain opportunity that these elites have, which that is another point, right? He's supposed to say he's part of the people, right? He's got the people's back. But this is a huge proportion of the people. Everything from diversity and disabilities. That's a third of the population of the U.S.
And he's saying since the Civil Rights Act, basically you're saying white people have been discriminated against since we gave these other people rights. They had to start doing this because white people owned everything. Like, white people controlled everything, and a lot of white people were old and racist and wouldn't let people of color into their institutions.
Well, yeah, they weren't. And by they, I mean those of a diverse background. They weren't given jobs. They were enslaved the jobs.
Yes.
And they did not get any good benefits out of that, I got to say.
No, I would say not.
Yeah.
And this is literally, 1964 is literally a little more than, or a little less than 100 years later.
But remember, Zach, we're going to make America great again. That's what this is about.
That's
what
what
it's golden age
of white supremacy. Once again,
diversity. Screw it. We're making progress, people. Making progress.
We're taking away abortions. We're banning books.
Let's do it all. Do it all at once.
I was just at the library, and this administration is banning books. She gave me a young adult book that is on the to be banned list, and why they're banning it is because the heroine in that book, she takes birth control, and she doesn't want to be married, and she wants to be independent and have her own career. And that is part of why they are banning it.
Really?
She said it's on the book ban list.
I would love to do a story about that.
I should have brought that book in.
Yeah, if you can get the title of that, I want to get it before it's banned.
Just to read it.
I do. I want to read it. I want to understand the message that is being delivered in the book, and I do just a case study of it. Here's the message. This is why it's being banned. Do we want to support this message? Is this a positive message, or does it deserve to be banned?
Well, it's
a reasonable question. Maybe they're right. I don't know. I haven't read it.
There's a whole bunch of books that are of that same genre, or of that same thing that's happening in there.
Here's a big thing. So in college, one of the primary theories that we are taught, and by we, I mean those who study the media and do research in it, is agenda setting theory. And what agenda setting theory is it proclaims two methods to induce change. You got a slow path which basically you got time to induce the change. And then another one is just doing it quick, right? So he has a limited time frame to get this stuff done. He's got 4 years. If he would have started in his first term, he could have taken more of a long-term stance. But right now, he's got nothing to lose, so do it quick, right? Do it quick. Get it done. The short term is less effective. It gets things done quick, but it's less effective. And the reason why it's less effective, and the reason why you want to target policies and the media, is because if you can strip away that social reinforcement of ideology, right? If we are no longer supporting things like Black History Month, if we're no longer respecting these policies within the workforce, it sets an example for society to follow, and it is reinforced into the behavior of those who participate in society. You take that away in 4 to 8 years, right? Especially if it's included within education, you got 8 years of future voters that will most likely not align with those ideals.
I've never, just kind of like how abortion got taken away again, and now it's just sort of like accepted.
Socially accepted.
That's insane.
It's very effective. We ended here. Illegal DEI and DEIA policies not only violate the text and spirit of our long-lasting federal civil rights laws, they also undermine our national unity, as they deny, discredit, and undermine the traditional American values of hard work, excellence, and individual achievement in favor of an unlawful, corrosive, and pernicious identity-based spoils system. Hardworking Americans who deserve a shot at the American dream should not be stigmatized, demeaned, or shut out of opportunities because of their race or sex.
Yeah, because that's happening everywhere. What?
It doesn't even make sense.
That's what?
I'll tell you what, if you are a hardworking individual, I'm very much pro-America, and I'm very much part of, I think the idea of American exceptionalism is an excellent message. There are a lot of those in academia who will go against it. I am very much pro it. I think it is an excellent motivator to embed into our society for the people to try to achieve things. I feel very much that I have that embedded in me, and I'm grateful for it. And I think it propagates many people to do great things. And I hope that it's something that we never lose. And that applies to people that will fall under the ADA. It really does. I am one who falls under the ADA. So it's not harming. I mean, I can take care of myself financially, right? I can do that. There are times when I have not been able to, and I've lost my independence and have to restart. Happened multiple times, either because of surgery, due to the epilepsy, injuries, couldn't work. But I've done a lot and worked hard and literally gotten back up again many times in order to retain or maintain my independence as an individual, because I value it. Now, I consider this idea of the hardworking individual, it is embedded within me. I also have ADHD, so I'm always trying to do something. Joking, but on a neurological level, it does kind of play an effect. But anyway, that's another topic. But yeah, so anyway, getting back to it, do you have anything to say about that?
Yes. So this is saying, like, because you've had problems, or you said because of you haven't wanted people to know you're epileptic because you would.
It has only been within the last 3 months, once I created this platform, that I have been open about it. And it's because I was discriminated against, and won this legally, by the way, when I was 21. I believe. And actually, on that note, I will share with you something very, very important. And it was another message that was delivered to me by the person that discriminated against me. And the message that he delivered to me very much reminds me of the message delivered in these. And that is, quote unquote, if you're not an asset, you're a liability. And that is the message that's delivered in this a great deal. Because what was the message that he said in that speech, right? We shouldn't have people in here that cannot perform work because basically they'll be a liability. They aren't an asset. That is the frame of mind we're working from.
And with probably without some of these protections that he's trying to take away, you would not have won that lawsuit.
No.
See? And this is what he's trying to take away.
So blatant. It was so blatant.
Oh, you think you would have, even without these?
Yeah, it was
but
so
this
blatant.
but this is what I'm saying. Without these, the civil, well, I don't know what exactly all this, the civil rights stuff probably doesn't, but that probably motivated the thing, the other laws that were enacted to be inclusive for people with disabilities. This was probably a main motivator. And without that.
Well, not only that, but think about people who get hurt on the job, right? That then get a disability, but maybe didn't fall under it at that time. I mean, it comes up all the time. It's going on right now with a friend of mine. Very hard worker, very good work ethic, relate a great deal. Had something occur to him that he's dealing with in his life, and he's going through something kind of similar now. Never had issues until now, and now it's going to affect his employment.
See, and now the message is now he's a liability.
Exactly, and that's what it comes down to. It's just a state of mind. It really is.
So it's just like it's like just throw away people that aren't like the genius, perfect assets.
Yes.
America's not founded on that.
No, it's a horrible way. It's a horrible way to look at it. Just society in general. Absolutely horrible. Okay.
You're fired up about this.
I am, dude. I'm pissed off.
I could tell.
I am. Resentments can take you a very far way in life. When I was discriminated against, I bore that resentment upon me for so long, but it in a way empowered me because it pissed me off so much to continue to succeed in things just to prove them wrong. It's interesting how that works.
It's almost like one of those resentments you should keep in your back pocket and take it out when you really need it. Hell
yeah. It's true. It works. People think resentments are bad, but you can use them to your advantage. They can be very productive. It's the dark side of the force, I think someone would say.
Is that? Oh, that's a good way to look at it,
dude.
See, because a similar thing happened to me in junior high. A math teacher said, I'm never going to amount to anything. There's no way you can get this. You're going to be able to pass this. Like, it was whatever math you do in like 7th grade. And I think he was doing that reverse psychology stuff on me because I buckled down. I was a good student after that just to prove him wrong.
There you go. I'm so proud of you. Okay. All right. Next paragraph. The federal government is charged with enforcing our civil rights laws. The purpose of this order is to ensure that it does so by ending illegal preferences and discrimination. Now, mind you, it wasn't illegal. They're saying it's illegal now. Okay. Section 2 policy. It is the policy of the United States to protect the civil rights of all Americans and to promote individual initiative, excellence, and hard work. I therefore order all executive departments and agencies to terminate all discriminatory and illegal preferences, mandates, policies, programs, activities, guidance, regulations, enforcement actions, consent orders, and requirements. I further order all agencies to enforce our long-standing civil rights laws and to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities. That is a big one.
Wait.
That's huge. I wonder if that includes affirmative action. I'm assuming it would.
Well, yeah, that's almost exactly what he's talking about.
I'm assuming it is.
But that's So he's basically saying like anything that provides opportunities for people that have been, were subjugated by us when we founded this country,
Mm.
or of any other like standing where they
Minority
might,
class.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
or people with some sort of disability,
Mhm.
just to give them an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And he's says take those systems away.
Yeah. It's
We-
illegal.
We're
It's
taking
illegal because it's discrimination, right? It's the argument of reverse racism. Or now it's reverse discrimination. That is how it's framed.
we're going backwards.
Yeah.
We are going backwards. There's abortion is already outlawed. Now we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
We're going back in time.
Yeah, we are. And, mind you, the stuff involved with this, a lot of people don't think it's going to affect him. But you know what it's going to affect? And I'm pretty sure I got an article on this as well. It's going to affect your medical insurance if you're getting it provided to by the government. And it's going to affect your Social Security. So it's coming around to you as well. You got some skin in the game. A large majority of this country.
It's going to affect your...
Yeah. A lot of people who are going to be pro this are let me just put it this way. A lot of people that are pro this are going to end up getting fucked by this. That's what it comes down to.
It's mind-boggling that we can go backwards like this.
It's because one of the things is they just hear this message, but they don't look at the source of information that it's coming from that gives you the details. Right?
It's tearing this country apart. I mean, if you wanted to create
it's because people only read headlines. They only read the headline. Who reads more than 3 sentences? I mean, I take the time to. I put a lot of time in the preparation of these to make sure that I'm at least trying to give some good information. But if I were to take a different tact and just use a headline, create some clickbait, and just run with it,
Yeah, it says terminate illegal segregation or whatever. On
Yeah.
the beginning. Oh, that sounds great.
Mhm.
That's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's going like if you wanted to create a political civil war in this country and tear us apart for getting ready to be, it feels like we are getting torn down as a nation to get, I don't even know.
We're going to a golden age, Zach. Golden age.
Golden age.
We're going past making it great again. We're going golden.
Ooh.
Going golden.
What about platinum?
I don't know. I'd have to check the prices. I don't think it's worth as much gold, but I do prefer the color.
Platinum's worth more.
Okay.
And Dungeons and Dragons platinum pieces were like 10 times the amount as gold pieces.
Good to know. I'm glad that the audience now knows that too.
Right?
They'll find that very valuable. Okay.
Just like
Section 2 policy. It is the policy of the United States to protect the civil rights of all Americans and to promote individual initiative, excellence, and hard work. I therefore order all executive departments and agencies. Oh, I read this. Moving to Section 3. Section 3. Terminating illegal discrimination in the federal government. A. The following executive order and actions are hereby revoked. Executive Order 12898 of February 11, 1994. Federal actions to address environmental justice in minority populations and low-income populations. Interesting. Executive Order 13583 of August 18, 2011, establishing a coordinated government-wide initiative to promote diversity and inclusion in the federal workforce. Dude, I mean, these are just horrible things. We got to knock that off. All right, I'm glad we're taking care of it. That's a joke.
It's
Executive Order 13672 of July 21st, 2014. Further amendments to Executive Order 11478, equal employment opportunity in the federal government, and Executive Order 11246, equal employment opportunity. And the Presidential Memorandum of October 5th, 2016, promoting diversity and inclusion in the national security workforce. Dude, this is all horrible stuff. I mean, why would we want to promote these things?
diversity. It's just saying opportunity for
Yes.
diversity. It's not like if they're terrible at their job, they have to hire them.
Right.
You're creating an opportunity for a diversity of people with the job skills
Right.
that are required.
The federal contracting process shall be streamlined to enhance speed and efficiency, reduce costs, and require federal contractors and subcontractors to comply with our civil rights laws accordingly. Executive Order 11246 of September 24th, 1965, Equal Employment Opportunity, is hereby revoked.
What?
For 90 days from the date of this order, federal contractors may continue to comply with the regulatory scheme in effect on January 20th, 2025. Now imagine if he gave this speech and he said, hey, everybody, I'm going to get rid of federal actions to address environmental justice in minority populations and low-income populations. Also, I'm going to get rid of further amendments to executive orders for equal employment opportunity in the federal government and equal opportunity. Also, we're done with promoting diversity and inclusion in the national security workforce. Just getting tired of it. And also, this whole thing about equal employment opportunity, it's got to end. Now, imagine if he actually read what these executive orders are and gave it in a presidential address. People would be like, what the hell are you talking about? But luckily for him, people don't read.
I know, like September 4th, 1965. What happened right before that? The civil rights movement.
The civil rights, yeah.
Yeah, the civil rights movement. So we're going back in time.
Yeah.
We're like, he's taking us back to 1963.
Making it great again. Okay.
We're going to whiten this place up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we did the equal employment. The Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs within the Department of Labor shall immediately cease. We're not going to take care of promoting diversity anymore, holding federal contractors and subcontractors responsible for taking affirmative action. Okay, it is going. Allowing or encouraging federal contractors and subcontractors to engage in workforce balancing based on race, color, sex, and sexual preference, religion, or national origin. In accordance with Executive Order 13279 on December 12, 2002, equal protection of the laws for faith-based and community organizations, the employment, procurement, and contracting practices of federal contractors and subcontractors shall not consider race, color, sex, sexual preference, religion, or national origin in ways that violate the nation's civil rights laws.
What?
It's so interesting hearing how that's the violation of civil rights.
I don't even understand
it's a completely different perception of what civil rights are now. Oh, it's so interesting. This is the civil rights of the majority. That's what this is about.
I know. We are just the whites everybody's getting too.
It's just like, let's just take color out of it. I mean, right here, it is now the civil rights of the majority that are the preference in our society. That is the message.
And the workforce people, like it said, contractors that try to diversify their workplace must stop immediately.
Yeah.
Even if you're filling those positions with completely qualified individuals.
Right.
Why would they have to stop trying to balance it? If it's a qualified individual, what's it matter?
Yeah.
That's what the message is. If they're qualified, what's it matter if I diversify?
Absolutely.
It shouldn't matter, period.
Absolutely. Unless you provide people with an incentive to change, there will be no change. That's just natural human behavior, right? Unless you reinforce something, there is going to be no change.
Yeah, people are afraid of change.
Mm-hmm.
Like that black guy he sounds good at his job, but I don't know. I've never been around a black man, so I don't feel I'm scared to hire him. And I'm probably racist if I've never been around a black man, too. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Where were we? Federal contractors. Let's see. Equal protection, race, color. The head of each agency shall include in every contract or grant award a term requiring the contractual counterparty or grant recipient to agree that its compliance in all respects with all applicable federal anti-discrimination laws is material to the government's payment decisions for purposes of Section 3729B4 of Title 31 United States Code and
what?
a term requiring such counterparty or recipient to certify that it does not operate any programs promoting DEI that violate any applicable federal anti-discrimination laws. C.
The anti-discrimination laws are discrimination laws.
Yeah.
The anti-discrimination laws are enforcing discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
What?
C.
And that's what they're called? Is anti? This is insane.
Sorry, I'm looking at a comment that I find interesting. Bruh, no wonder you think the way you do. Probably.
Huh?
I think he's referring to the fact that I've been open about my epilepsy, and he's saying that that is a reason for why I think the way you do. Mind you, it's the way that I think about this, okay? Don't lump me in into a general category that I disagree with everything that Trump might do, okay? I know that's the normal reaction of, oh, he's against this, therefore he must be against all of this. No, there are things that I would be supportive of, but this
is insane.
Is bad.
Well, see right there, that's a Trump supporter.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. He's not saying anything necessarily political. He's just saying, hey, this is probably why you think the way that you do. I don't know his political stance. I don't want to make an assumption about a viewer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
just like I would hope he wouldn't make the assumption that I previously stated about me.
The only reason I said that is because let's say this. A lot of supporters would be anything that, if you're against anything that Trump does, then you are wrong and you are there's some sort of reason. That's why I said that. We don't know if he is or not.
Dude, the AI bill and all the construction, go for it. The environmental policy stuff, a little bit rough on that. But the sociological stuff, I will say with my background, I got a pretty good read on, and I know what's going on a bit. And just with some of my personal experience regarding this in particular, I have a perspective based on that not as many do. And I think that should be considered. Okay, moving forward. Now, a term requiring such counterparty or recipient to certify that it does not operate any programs promoting DEI that violate any applicable federal anti-discrimination laws. C. The Director of the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, with the assistance of the Attorney General, is requested, shall review and revise as appropriate all government-wide processes, directives, and guidance. 2. Excise references to DEI and DEIA principles under whatever name they may appear, from federal acquisition, contracting grants, and financial assistance procedures to streamline those procedures, improve speed and efficiency, lower costs, and comply with civil rights laws.
What?
Take the money. Next, terminate all diversity, equity, and equitable decision-making, equitable deployment of financial and technical assistance, advancing equity, and like mandates, requirements, programs, or activities as appropriate. Many of those, I believe it's the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were put in quotations, those terms. Section 4, encouraging the private sector to end illegal DEI discrimination and preferences. A. The heads of all agencies, with the assistance of the Attorney General, shall take all appropriate action with respect to the operations of their agencies to advance in the private sector the policy of the individual initiative, excellence, and hard work identified in Section 2 of this order. And hard work identified. B. To further inform and advise me so that my administration may formulate appropriate and effective civil rights policies. The Attorney General, within 120 days of this order, in consultation with the heads of relevant agencies, in coordination with the Director of OMB, shall submit a report to the Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy containing recommendations for enforcing federal civil rights laws and taking other appropriate measures to encourage the private sector to end illegal discrimination and preferences, including DEI. The The report shall contain a proposed strategic enforcement plan identifying. So we'll find out in 120 days more information of how this will be enacted. It'll be interesting. Really, in my opinion, let's see how this blows over first, and then we'll go from there.
It's that he's dismantling a system that was put in place to take away I'm like speechless. This is everything we've worked for years, to make America diverse, because America is diverse.
And what's interesting is people who voted for President Trump, I believe in majority, would be very much pro all of these things that are being taken away. But the thing is they don't hear the things that are being taken away. They just hear this message of, hey, we're being discriminated against. Right?
Yeah. And that whole line, there was one big thing about
it's a manipulation tactic, and they're being misled in order to push a personal agenda.
What do you think his personal agenda is?
To push his ideology that there is reverse discrimination.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, obviously, yeah. Okay. There's a whole thing on there, the paragraph before, about dismantling grants and loans and to speed up that process.
And I wonder if that includes the Pell Grant. And the Pell Grant, for those who don't know, that is a grant that is given to individuals, for example, first-generation college students, which is the majority of the population. I know I received one.
Me too.
Yep. To go to college. It is very helpful. I can tell you that. It is very helpful.
This is, you know what this is going to make? It's going to make the rich people richer and the poor people poorer. That's what this is about.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to hold back on saying anything.
I
haven't looked into it enough to. I understand what you're saying, and that is like a reasonable assumption. But I'm going to hold back on giving my opinion on that. I need to do a little bit more research. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm holding back on that.
You're in a different position. I can just throw out comments and opinions all day long.
Okay. So, key sectors of concern within each agency's jurisdiction. 2, the most egregious and discriminatory DEI practitioners in each sector of concern. 3, a plan of specific steps or measures to deter DEI programs or principles, whether specifically denominated DEI or otherwise, that constitute illegal discrimination or preferences. It's interesting that these are now deemed illegal.
You see how the verbiage has changed over the course of this, just even this?
Yeah.
Now it's like, now it's illegal.
Right.
Now
I'm curious about what laws will be enacted if people are found guilty of continuing to follow the prior policy. That's a reasonable question.
And how would they prove that
right,
this person was there, you passed over a more qualified person for...
Yeah, that is really interesting, actually. I wonder if there will be lawsuits of discrimination.
From white people?
Yeah. That would be so interesting to see that play out. So interesting. Because if it isn't acted legally, if it's in black and white, you got a claim. If it's respected in the Justice Department.
If it's in black and white, but
Interesting. That will be interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Back to 3, I believe. A plan of specific steps or measures to deter DEI programs or principles, whether specifically denominated DEI or other words that constitute legal discrimination or preference. As part of this plan, each agency shall identify up to 9 potential civil compliance investigations of publicly traded corporations, large nonprofit corporations or associations, foundations with assets of $500 million or more, state and local bar and medical associations, and institutions of higher education with endowments over $1 billion. 4. Other strategies to encourage the private sector to end illegal DEI discrimination and preferences and comply with all federal civil rights laws. 5. Litigation that should be potentially appropriate for federal lawsuits, intervention, or statements of interest. And 6. Potential regulatory action and sub-regulatory guidance.
So that means the Black College Fund.
I'm not sure.
What is that called? No, that means that
I know
over
what you're talking
$500
about.
million.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, the
That's-
foundations with assets?
Yeah,
Possibly.
that's gonna target the, what is that called?
They did say private sector, correct? Plan specific plan. Each agency just says agency.
Any
Non-financial
agency.
Civil compliance investigations of publicly traded, large nonprofit. Yes. Okay. So yes.
The Black College Fund is going to be targeted right there.
Mm-hmm.
That means they're going to dismantle that.
I don't know.
That's how. I mean,
don't know how they could. Well, I guess they could, because they could be saying that they're breaking the law because they're showing preference.
yeah.
Yes,
it's
I see
the
your point.
Black
Yeah.
College.
Interesting. Super interesting. Isn't that interesting that those who are trying to promote civil rights are now under attack and being said that it's illegal to do so? It's amazing how it can just change in an instant.
With one president.
Yeah.
And
I really didn't think that such change could be, to be honest. I guess I was very naive. I think it's just because these types of dramatic actions have never been taken or been expected to be taken. So,
well, the abortion thing, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was a big one.
I
could actually see that one coming though.
There's always been a lot of controversy about
that's
that.
ubiquitous across all parties. I mean, primarily one, but it's pretty much one that.
Yeah, but since the 80s, it's or 70 something, it's been like you've been able to have abortion. It's not illegal. What's that called that they took down? What was the abortion?
I don't know. Oh, Roe vs. Wade?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Since they took that away.
Yeah. Okay. Getting back to it. Section 5. Other actions. Within 120 days of this order, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Education shall jointly issue guidance to all state and local educational agencies and that receive federal funds, as well as all institutions of higher education that receive federal grants or participate in the federal student loan assistance program under Title IV of the Higher Education Act 20 USC 1070 ET sequence, regarding the measures and practices required to comply with Students for Fair Admissions, Inc. versus President and Fellows of Harvard College, 600 U.S. 181, 2023. That is interesting. So, admissions will be affected. Section 6, severability. If any provision of this order or the application of any provision to any person or circumstance is held to be invalid, the remainder of this order and the application of its provisions to any other persons or circumstances shall not be affected thereby.
What?
Yeah. Section 7. Jesus, man. Break it out like over a week, like 1 or 2 statements. I give them props for just going for it, though. Section 7. Scope. A. This order does not apply to lawful federal or private sector employment and contracting preferences for veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces or persons protected by the Randolph-Shepard Act 20 USC 107 ET SEQ. B. This order does not prevent state or local governments, federal contractors, or federally funded state and local educational agencies or institutions of higher education from engaging in First Amendment protected speech.
What?
That is interesting. I think that's just stating it to state it. Interesting. C. This order does not prohibit persons teaching at a federally funded institution of higher education as part of a larger course of academic instruction from advocating for, endorsing, or promoting the unlawful employment or contracting practices prohibited by this order. So basically what they're saying is you can still talk about the stuff you want to talk about,
but we're doing it. You can bitch about it all you want but I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah. I don't want you to feel like your free speech is being taken away.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah, it's just play.
So basically, we can do what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to get arrested.
Yeah.
So he knows people are going to bitch about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They have to. Section 8, General Provisions. A. Nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect I. The authority granted by law to an executive department, agency, or the head thereof. 2. The functions of the Director of the Office of Management and Budget relating to budgetary, administrative, or legislative proposals. B. This order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to the availability of appropriations. C. This order is not intended to and does not create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by any part against the United States, its departments, agencies, or entities, its officers, employees, or agents, or any other person. Signed by the White House, January 21st, 2025. And there you got it, folks. That is where it's at. There is one more article that I think really shows the effect. So you remember when I was talking about like instituting change and hitting the education department? Well, this is from ed.gov, the education department. I felt like it was important. So, this is a press release presented on January 23rd, 2025 and it's titled U.S. Department of Education Takes Action to Eliminate DEI. Washington. The U.S. Department of Education has taken action to eliminate harmful diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI initiatives, including references to them in public-facing communication channels and its associated workforce. These actions are in line with President Trump's ongoing commitment to end illegal discrimination and wasteful spending across the federal government. They are the first step in reorientating the agency toward prioritizing meaningful learning ahead of diverse ideology in our schools. That is a huge statement right there. That is a huge statement.
Are they saying you can't even...
What's interesting is right here, this comment, they are the first step in reorientating the agency toward prioritizing meaningful learning. So that means before this, meaningful learning in education was not a priority. I would hope that meaningful learning was always a priority in education. I think what they must be associating there is when it comes to learning, they're talking about the education of diversity, or what they perceive as diversity that is discriminating against the majority.
So they're saying you can't teach about like generational
trauma, critical race theory, which isn't even like covered in high school. That's college course stuff. They're definitely probably talking about gender studies.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Whoa. Siri, calm down.
The whole civil rights movement, that might just never be taught or talked about.
I'm sure that will be. I'm sure it will be. What they do though, when it comes to like lower education, is they're given syllabuses provided. And they say you are supposed to follow this syllabus and educate with that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Next paragraph. Following President Trump's recent executive orders and initial guidance from the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, the department removed or archived hundreds of guidance documents, reports, and training materials that include mentions of DEI from its outward-facing communication channels. The department also put employees charged with leading DEI initiatives on paid administration leave. Interesting. These review efforts will continue as the department works to end discrimination based on race and the use of harmful race stereotypes, both within the agency and throughout America's education system.
That's hard to piece apart.
So, I'll read it again. These review efforts will continue as the department works to end discrimination based on race and the use of harmful race stereotypes, both within the agency and throughout America's education system. Notable actions the department has taken include dissolution of the department's Diversity and Inclusion Council, effective immediately. Background: the Diversity and Inclusion Council was established following Executive Order 13583 under then President Obama. President Trump has rescinded the executive orders that guide the council and issued a new executive order ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing. I love how this term preferencing is being used rather than and diversity, because that's what that would usually be, right?
Yeah.
Now we are rebranding it as preferencing. It's one of the things that's often done in the media, depending on what side you're on. A good example is Obamacare, right? I hate to say we. How about this? Those involved in the media, like myself, what they would do is they would say, this is Obamacare, right? Oh, because it has Obama's name on it, we better hate it.
Exactly.
We better vote against it. But what it really was the Affordable Care Act. Now, if you created a survey and this was done and you put Obamacare and then the Affordable Care Act, right? You can pick A or B to support. The majority of the people will pick the Affordable Care Act.
It's got affordable and care.
Yeah. It's all about the packaging.
Makes me feel warm and fuzzy, dude. I got affordable. I got care. I'm good.
It's all selling point. Got to sell it. It's all about how you frame it. Okay. Like, so many people don't know just the little things that are used. The little tiny things that are used that sway public opinion to such a great deal.
Well, think about the people's attention span. TikTok was created to have quick clip videos because your attention span.
Yeah.
So you just look at something. Affordable Care Act. Love it.
It's a headline
Obama,
of a video.
Don't like it.
It's a headline of a video.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Because that's all people can take.
Yeah.
Now is the headline.
See, nobody's going to go through all this except the Democrats are going to be preaching to the Democrats what this is bad about. And the Republicans are going to be telling, you know what I mean?
Right. But it's not going to be getting to the other side. Now, I'm hoping with this platform that we can get both sides, which is why I don't like to ostracize other people that may not align with all my beliefs. Now, mind I'm saying all my beliefs because I do hold beliefs on both sides.
Me too. What I'm saying is there's such a separation
Yeah.
that the one side will be preaching this and the other side will be preaching that.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's going to be reading this. They're just going to be listening to their side.
Totally.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, getting back to it. Under then President Obama, President Trump has rescinded the executive orders that guide the council and issued a new executive order ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing. That terminates groups like the Diversity and Inclusion Council. DEI documents issued and related actions taken by the council have been withdrawn. Dissolution of the Employee Engagement Diversity Equity Inclusion Accessibility Council, EEDIAC, within the Office for Civil Rights, OCR, effective immediately and pursuant to President Trump's executive order, that is, ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing. Cancellation of ongoing DEI training and service contracts, which total over $2.6 million. That is not a lot of money. Not a lot. Withdrawal of the department's Equity Action Plan. Placement of career department staff tasked with implementing the previous administration's DEI initiatives on paid administrative leave. And identification for removal of over 200 web pages from the department's website that house DEI resources and encourage schools and institutions of higher education to promote or endorse harmful ideological programs. So that right there is also what I'm talking about, right? You strip it from the public discourse, it's no longer talked about, it goes away in an instant. People stop talking about it, right? people stop talking about it because you retract the information.
So now they don't even know if they've lost.
Yeah. Just like banning the book.
Yeah. You don't even know what you're not supposed to read because it's not there to read.
Yeah.
Wow.
Last paragraph. Pursuant to OPM guidance, the department will continue its comprehensive review of all agency programs and services to identify additional initiatives and working groups that may be advancing a divisive DEI agenda, including programs using coded or imprecise language to disguise their activity, kind of like that word preferences. Careful review of all public sites and media channels for DEI language and resources will also continue. Ooh, that was a good ending.
But that's free
The use
speech.
of language, that means we are going to turn some what was once perceived as good words into bad words from society.
Yes, and that's a manipulation of free speech because you're not going to be able to have that.
I wouldn't say it's a manipulation of free speech. It's just removing terminology from the public discourse.
No, and how are you removing it? By making it bad.
Yeah, but I mean, people can still talk about it.
Yeah, but then you're bad. Like saying
Right.
the N-word.
But that's like the effect of public opinion. That's not like taking your right away. You know what I mean? I'm looking at it a little
That's
bit
what
different way,
well, I'm just
I
saying
hear what you're saying.
It's
I
like
hear
a
your point.
manipulation. And they're saying they're going to be looking for programs that say that or anything that says that. They're going to be like watching for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you use that speech, they're going to be looking at your...
Well, good stuff. I think we got some good information out there. I hope both sides will hear some of this information. If my opinion bothers you, I hope that you can just hear what is read or what was said in black and white, because that is the source of the information. Some of the information that I provided on the tactics of media are definitely relevant, be taken into mind, but it provides you with the means to make a better decision on what you choose to support or not. And I think that's a good way to end it. We got quite a few people watching. I appreciate everyone joining us tonight. And Verity Hunt, glad you are here. Andy, I'm not sure if we agree or not, but I'm glad you are here as well in the chat. And yeah, good night. Good night. You got any closing statements that you'd like to give, Zach?
I can't even come up with nothing, man. This stuff that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's a big change.
Yes. People should pay attention and inform themselves and really, like you said, listen to the information.
I should create a survey. So one thing I did in college, everybody who's listening, during my grad program, I focused a lot on research methodology, and it would be interesting to create like a Likert scale type of survey and put it out now and give it to, I might be able to work this out with St. Helens High School. And basically it being a survey on the acceptance of certain ideologies and social values. Give it to like the freshman class, the senior class, and then a group like our age group, and then those there's not really a need to do that. I guess I could though, of older years, and see if I could track down the same people that took it initially, see if their beliefs have changed 4 years later.
That would be amazing. Like freshmen now, and then when they turn to be seniors.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it would be very interesting, and I can like literally prove the effect. I mean, the effect is already out there. I mean, we can just observe it, right? But it would be a little bit more quantitative rather than qualitative observation.
This is scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's interesting. All right.
All
Well,
right.
good stuff.
Good stuff.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell when we come on next time. Great night. Hope you have a great